First of all, I want to thank the committee. It was truly a bit of a shock and an awesome moment when I got the phone call from Brent and then Dion that I was going to be inducted, and I was really, really thrilled. There's no possible way that I can continue without thanking Greg Mescal, all right, who does such a great job. He's the voice of USA Water Polo. And also Mai, who just really was very helpful in putting this whole thing together. I'm not really sure in my new role as a Hall of Famer if I can make any salary adjustments, but I will do what I can. The other inductees, when I also heard from Brent and Dion who the other ones were, I was obviously thrilled. Very San Diegan representation. It's pretty fantastic. Starting with my longtime friend, Dave Alberstein. We weren't always super friendly about certain things, but we both had an affinity for making, at that time, the women's program strong at San Diego State. So we worked together, and it was really, I think, forging a special relationship. Staggering number, Dave, there's over 6,000 games officiated. That's amazing. I'm not, well, all of my former players know this, I'm not great at math. I just learned the other day that 5 out of 4 people suffer from bad math. But I pieced together some quick numbers, over 6,000 games officiated. The real staggering number, Dave, is that's probably over 60,000 bad or missed calls. It's just... Ricardo, congratulations. This is awesome. Don't worry, I'm not turning this into a roast, but I do want to say that when Ricardo was at Long Beach State, quite honestly, we had a blast together coaching against each other. I found him to be one of the few coaches that I was coming across that, whoa, you have a sense of humor too? Okay, this is good. But what I really wanted to share, which I think you'll all kind of get a kick out of, is when it came time for Ricardo and I to schedule our game in San Diego, I got to really thank longtime friend and former boss Ken Gross, who somehow managed to create beer gardens at our home games. Not all of them, because we couldn't afford them, but when it came time to discussing when our game would be in San Diego with Ricardo, it was like it was all good, we would get a date, but then he would say, there has to be a beer garden. I'm like, okay, all right. So I had to make those arrangements, but when I got that information from Ricardo, it was also, and I don't want to misquote him, but it was none of that light beer shit. Am I wrong? Okay. He said only the good stuff. I'm like, oh God, all right, fine. At any rate, I always enjoyed Ricardo, one of our sport's greatest personalities. Certainly not going to dish on the best player ever to come out of San Diego, Jesse. And Melissa, it was a pleasure to meet you today. Our Olympians, outstanding. You guys are all world. So Greg did a nice job, and that video was remarkable. I'm not going to go through 5 decades of playing and coaching. I did play. Thanks, Rusty, for acknowledging the fact that I did play. I'm really stoked that I have way too many people here, way too many people, and my family knows I'm a bit of an emo dad, but I cried at Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3. But to have been able to start Sunset as a club in '76 was phenomenal. And then to have my time at San Diego State was a blast. That somehow kind of parlayed into a career at UCSD. In 2008, I began an association coaching with the San Francisco Olympic Club. I never envisioned that, boys, that you guys would take me all over the world and we would drink ourselves to gold medals. So, if I was to try to thank everybody that's here, and again, it's truly amazing the people that have turned out for this. I had no idea Ricardo was that popular, but if I was to try to thank everybody here individually, we would certainly be here for the rest of the day. If I started telling stories, of which I have many, we would be here for at least another week. If I started talking about my family, and that includes so many aunts and uncles that my kids have, it's amazing. If I started talking specifically about Buck and Pat and my bestie Rusty, we would probably be here for the next year, and we don't want that. I will shout out my assistant coaches. I've had several. In the early 80s, it was really more of a babysitting thing to keep these guys out of jail. But I really want to thank Larry Sanders, Pat Hazel, Brad Cruzcamp, Glenn Bush, and of course our Olympian, Usha. I couldn't have done it without these guys. I expected them to challenge me all the way, and they did. And I think that makes for good assistant coaches, loyal, but not afraid to constantly be making suggestions and just get better. So I really want to thank them. I just said we'd be here forever about stories, but I did want to tell one story. And the only reason I'm telling this story is because it was a bit of a defining moment for me. I didn't set out, oh, I'm going to be a water polo coach. It was quite organic how it all took place. It was my second year coaching the men at UCSD, so that would have been 81. And I know that there's some people in this room that I'm hoping were actually witnesses to this as well. The NorCal tournament, which is now the MPSF tournament, the NorCal tournament pretty much alternated between Stanford and Cal. And Dante and Pete would make sure that there was a Saturday night dinner. I mean, it was a full-on social dinner kind of a thing. And they invited head coaches and wisely officials, right? Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? So I went to this thing. I was pretty much a newbie. I had literally grown up watching the legendary Pete Coutinho coaching pretty much every championship through the 70s at Belmont Plaza. His assistant, Steve Heaston, a legend himself. And then legendary official Bob Lee. They were at this thing along with others. I'm wandering around. I have a beer. I'm minding my own business. This gathering was hosted at the Heaston's home. And I'd been there for about 23 minutes, and all of a sudden I heard, "Heaston, the steaks are on fire." I'm like, I was inside, and I stepped and looked out the kitchen window, and sure enough, there's a bunch of steaks are literally on fire, like a lot of flames. The hose gets busted out by Heaston. The next thing that ensued was an amazing water fight over this hose. Heaston, Coutinho, and Bob Lee, three living legends at the time, battling with a hose, and just people are getting wet and whatever. And it was, when I was driving away from that gathering, it was a bit of an epiphany for me when I kind of thought, I think I can do this. These appear to be my kind of people, all right? So I think that helped me along to try to actually make a living out of this thing. This is a little emotional for me, but my family, I know you hear it a lot, family first, but it applies. And those of us that have been coaches or even players, I can't think of a better environment for kids to grow up in. It's fantastic. And my job at UCSD afforded me flexibility to a race home because Ellie sprained her ankle for the 7th time, etc. But it's family first, and I think it was an awesome environment for them to grow up in, and I'm truly blessed for that. And again, as I mentioned earlier, they literally have hundreds of aunts and uncles. I know you guys appreciate that. Then there's Jeffy. Solid rock for me, the barometer of sensibility. Lord knows I, through the years, have had some not so sensible ideas. Rusty, you were usually involved in some of those. She's been there for the good and the bad, and I love her very much. And I'm not going to dance around this subject, whatever. People will say that I'm being subjective, but I think I'm being objective. One of the best goalies the women's game has ever seen. You can all clap. I mean, just, you guys, I know, come on, you guys get over there. Yeah, it's just, I think if the induction committee looks at her credentials, she deserves to be in. I'm not as dumb as I look. I certainly want to acknowledge my 2 grandkids. Avery. Hi, Emmy. Okay. And yesterday, our daughter Jenna turned 23. All right. And to all the dads and our oldest son Travis, happy Father's Day. I'll finish up so we can get through this all with simply stating a couple of things that just will resonate for the rest of my life, and that's from my good friend Mike Haley. One is, of course, we love our show, which we do, and we love us. And we do. I love everybody. Thank you very much for listening.